In this video we are going to be testing, reviewing and lapping the Pfister Comet S2. Now what we're also going to do is have a look at how you can get this for almost free, because this is the first car that you can claim from the Salvage Yard robberies. There's quite a lot to get through, so let's get into it. And we'll start with a little bit about the car. And I've got to say, this is one of the best replicas in the game. So this is based on the later 911s, the 992 I believe, and it's a fabulous replica. It's almost indistinguishable from the real thing. So in terms of acceleration, it's a Porsche, it's good. What do you expect? It's going to be good. It's a Porsche. Handling is pretty good. If anything, handling is slightly better than the normal S2, because I have the normal S2 as well. And after I drove this, I did pull the normal S2 out and do a lap in that as well. And it turns out I'd forgotten that one is also blue. So it turns out I've got a thing for blue Fisters, which is not a sentence I thought I'd be saying today. So one thing that's definitely noticeable is there is a difference. I don't know what the lap times are, I'll find out when I do the edit how they compare. But looking at the drive, the Cabrio is much more controllable than the S2. The normal S2 is really loose at the back end, and this one doesn't seem to suffer from that one anywhere near as much. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to cover is how you can get this for almost free. So we've had the Salvage Yard for a while, and we always knew eventually we would be able to keep some of the cars somehow. And this week is the first week we've been able to do that, and they've started with this one. So if you want to look at costs, it costs you £20,000 to set up the Salvage Yard robbery, and when you complete it you get to keep this car for a fee of £10,000. So that's 30 grand for this car, which if you go to buy it at full price is a sniff under 1.8 million. So that really is a bargain. Now one of the things I did as soon as I'd got this, well, unfortunately for you, not quite as soon as I'd got this, after I'd got it and customised it, I took it to see if I could sell it and how much I would get. And when I went there, I got a really strange price. Now looking at how much they're offering me for it, I think what you're getting here is a percentage of the modifications that have been added to the vehicle, because I've added quite a few, and the one that you steal in the robbery does already have quite a few modifications on it anyway. So I think that's what you're doing, but it's irrelevant anyway, because it's a lot less than you would get if you were just going to sell it as you would with a normal Salvage Yard robbery. So there's no point claiming this thing just to sell it, because you're not going to get as much. So if this is a car that you want, then this really is the cheapest way to get it. You're basically going to pay $30,000 and do about half an hour's work for a car that would cost you 1.8 million. Now that is a pretty good deal. And before we go through the missions that you have to do to get this, let's just dive in and do the top speed test. And here we go with the top speed test, and I'm going to do this side by side with the normal Comet S2 as well, so we can compare the two. Now they've both had a really good run up, so I think this is a decent indication of whether there is any difference in the top end of these two cars. And this is what we managed to do for both of those cars. So now let's look at the robbery. Now the Salvage Yard robberies were added a few months ago now, and I'll be honest, I think they're really good. They're good fun, they're enjoyable, they're not particularly difficult. However, the Tony McTony robbery, which is the one you have to do to get this car, is probably the most challenging of all of them, and that's just because of the escape that you have to do at the end. So I won't do a full guide. All the setup missions are relatively simple. You run around, shoot people, steal things, all that usual kind of stuff that you should be well used to by now. The tips I've got come for when you're coming to escape. Now I've never watched anyone's guide, so if anyone has a better way of doing this, please do let me know, but this is how I do it. When you've cleared the sub out and you've unlocked the lift to escape with the car, before you leave, open your map. Always open your map. Now I don't know what the keys are for Xbox, so I'll go through what they are for PlayStation. I'm sure you've got an equivalent on Xbox, but what you basically need to do is open your map, press X to go into it, and then press the interaction button in the middle to change the mode. That means you can see the map from outside. Then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way up to the Diamond Casino. You'll recognise the casino because it's always got this oval track, and we're going to drop a pin just here. You're looking for this section where there's a little grey road that appears to go to nowhere. We'll come back to that later. So then, just set off and drive like mad. And the reason this escape is quite difficult is because the police are absolutely psychotic. I don't know if the AI is any different in this escape, but it really does feel it to me. They seem so much more aggressive, they're so much better at boxing you in, and God knows what weapons they're carrying because they absolutely mow you down if they get the chance. The way to get past them that I've found is to make sure you always stick well to one side of them when you're approaching, as you can see here, and then leave it as late as you can, watch the cop car, and as soon as he moves over to come in front of you, leave it as late as you can and dart the other way and go around him. Just like here, wait for him to move and then dart around. And that seems to be the easiest way to get there. So then what you're going to do when you get to the pin that you've dropped, you're just going to slow down, drop off the edge and hide in the tunnels. Now those of you that have done the casino house without stealing the helicopter will know this is the tunnel that you use to escape the cops in that too. And I do feel that you have to go a little bit further than you do with the casino heist, but it still works. So you just drop there, reverse in, hide in there for a few minutes, and then you can head off and claim your car for £10,000. And it comes with some nice customization, but on top of that, you've got some good customization to add to it anyway. And here's what time these both managed to do. So I hope you found that useful, and I will see you in the next one.